Chapter 166. The dark night was as quiet as water. Inside the room, Yi Chen was sitting on the bed with his legs crossed, both of his hands on his knees, meditating. In front of him was the soft and bright moonlight shining through the screen window. As a mid-rank Earth realm martial art, the Great Mystery Art's Jinqi circulation route was more than 10 times more complicated than the pure Jun Jinqi. Many important parts of the Great Mystery Art were twisted and turned, like a dead knot or a mess, which made people completely confused. Currently, if Yi Chen wanted to master the first level of the Great Mystery Art, he had to complete a big circle first, and extract a stream of Great Mystery Jinqi. However, with the complexity of the Great Mystery Art, it was not easy to complete a big circle. At least, Yi Chen was having a headache because of the complicated Jinqi circulation route. He didn't dare to be careless, because he was afraid that his Jinqi might go astray and cause serious internal injuries. Sweat was dripping down from his forehead, but Yi Chen didn't notice it at all. His eyes were closed, and his eyebrows were frowning and relaxing, changing several times within a short period of time. Phew! After a long time, Yi Chen slowly opened his eyes, and breathed out a mouthful of turbid air with slight tiredness. No wonder mid-rank Earth realm martial arts could become the most powerful martial art in our martial institutions. Even the first level is so hard to master, and it took me half a day of hard work. I wonder how hard it would be to master it to the highest level. In the past, when Yi Chen practiced martial arts, he had made great progress, but this time, he felt that it was quite hard. He didn't dare to be careless with every step, which was extremely exhausting. The night passed without any words. In the following half a month, Yi Chen practiced the Great Mystery Art at night, and practiced a low-rank Earth realm martial art that he got from the Heavenly Dream Ancient region during the day. Although the days were boring, they were not idle. Another half a month passed. On the cliff, the sea of clouds was surging. The silhouette flashed and moved horizontally on the flat ground, like the floating clouds and flowing water, like a ghost. Suddenly, the silhouette split into two and pounced out from two different directions. One of the silhouette's clothes fluttered in the wind, while the other had a dull face and a slightly transparent body. It was obvious that the silhouette was formed by Jinqi. Split again. After a few steps, Yi Chen's body shook, and the second Jinqi silhouette dashed out. It looked much more real than the first one, and its Jinqi clothes fluttered in the wind. 3 silhouettes, 1 real and 2 fake, walked side by side, punched on the cliff together. Boom! The fist power poured into the rock wall as Yi Chen jumped back. While he was still in the air, he groaned. Zhen! The next moment, oh! The 2 true Qi silhouettes merged into his body, becoming one with each other. As his feet landed on the ground, Yi Chen let out a long breath. He lifted his head and saw 3 deep holes on the wall in front of him. The 2 holes on the side were half a meter wide and 3 to 4 meters deep, while the one in the middle was 1 meter wide and 6 meters deep. There was stone powder on the edge. Not bad, it has 50% of my attacking power. Yi Chen nodded. He hadn't reached the highest level of the separating shadows flying art yet, but it was almost there. Right now, he could already split into 2 Jinqi silhouettes within a short period of time to confuse his enemies. In a fierce fight, because of the fast-moving speed of both sides, the human silhouettes were already blurry. Therefore, the sudden appearance of 2 Jinqi silhouettes with attacking power would definitely confuse the enemy's sight and vision, which would be a great surprise. Apart from this, the speed of the separating shadows flying art was 1 level higher than the crane shadow steps. Within a single breath, he could move about 300 meters, which was even faster than the elders of the martial skill pavilion. What a shame, the mysterious great art has stopped at the 5th level, and I can't break into the 6th level yet. But my overall power has improved a lot compared to before. The mysterious great art was obtained from the Heaven Dream Battle Palace, and it was much more precious than any ordinary mid-rank Earth realm martial art. Yi Chen had only reached the 5th level, but the quality of his Jin Qi had already surpassed the peak of the 7th level of the pure Jun Jin Qi, and the total quantity of his Jin Qi was almost the same as the pure Jun Jin Qi. It was hard to imagine how powerful his Jin Qi would be once he reached the 6th level, the 7th level, or even the 11th level. Of course, everything has its advantages and disadvantages. The mysterious great art was so powerful, but the difficulty of cultivating it would also be much higher. After a whole month, Yi Chen had barely reached the 5th level, and his overall power had improved a little, but it was not a big improvement. In the morning, when the first beam of sunlight shone on the ground, Yi Chen murmured, "It's time to see the leader," on the main road of the Sky Cloud Martial School. "Head brother." "Good morning, head brother." A group of inner disciples walked towards him, both male and female. The strongest among them was already at the late condensing reality realm, while the weakest was only at the early condensing reality realm. Seeing Yi Chen from afar, they all greeted him as head brother with great respect. Yi Chen nodded, but didn't say anything. After Yi Chen had walked far away, the group of inner disciples started whispering to each other. "Our head brother is now a legendary genius of the Windy Nation. He has mastered the sword intent, stepped into the clasping Yuan realm, and severely injured the multiple mountain martial school's head elder with a single sword attack. Every single one of these achievements is more than enough to shock the world. He's even more powerful than the 4 childs. The era of the 4 childs is over. Now, among the younger generation of the Windy Nation, there are 6 most powerful ones: Young Master Emerald, Young Master North Snow, Lynch, Qin Yulian, Su Jing, and our head brother, Yi Chen." Yi Chen didn't hear what the others were talking about. Even if he did, he wouldn't feel proud of himself. Perhaps he was already one of the most powerful people in the Windy Nation, but in the true spirit continent, he was still at the bottom. Besides, he always felt that if he stayed in the Sky Cloud Martial School, he would never be able to reach the astral reaching realm, and he would never be able to become one of the most powerful martial artists in the true spirit continent. After all, his dream was not just the astral reaching realm. Walking around a large number of buildings, Yi Chen arrived in front of a huge palace. "Brother Yi, this is the Drifting Cloud Palace. Only the inner elders and leaders are allowed to enter." 8 attendants stopped Yi Chen and said in a neither humble nor arrogant tone. Yi Chen raised his head and said blandly, "I have something important to discuss with the leader and the inner elders. Please inform them." "Something important? How important?" The first attendant on the left frowned. Yi Chen said, "Just tell them that I, Yi Chen, want to leave the Windy Nation to gain more experience." "Leave the Windy Nation?" The 8 attendants widened their eyes. They had already heard about what Yi Chen had done in the scorching ancient desert. If nothing unexpected happened, he would be the leader of the Sky Cloud Martial School in the future. As for Luo Hanshan, although he was the leader's son, he was not powerful enough. Therefore, the leader's position would not be passed on to him. "Wait a minute, I will inform the leader and the inner elders." No matter how stupid the attendants were, they knew that this was a big deal, a big deal. How could they dare to neglect it? Soon, all 36 inner elders of the Sky Cloud Martial School showed up. They all had a serious look on their faces. Some attendants who were passing by thought that someone was going to attack the Sky Cloud Martial School. "Yi Chen, come in with us." The head elder nodded to the attendants, then led Yi Chen into the palace. The Drifting Cloud Palace was very spacious, it was as spacious as the Floating Cloud Palace. There were 36 seats on both sides of the palace, presumably for the inner elders. "Yi Chen, I heard that you are going to go out to gain more experience." The first elder asked anxiously. Yi Chen nodded, "Yes, great elder." "Sigh, I knew this day would come." The great elder sighed. From the first time he met Yi Chen, the great elder knew that Yi Chen was no ordinary person. Yi Chen's aspirations and ambitions were so great that they were beyond his imagination. However, he never thought that he would make the decision to train. There were different kinds of adventures. For a small adventure, it would only be in the Windy Nation or the few neighboring countries, and would not be too far away. It would take at least a couple of months, and at most a year and a half. However, for a big adventure, it would be different. The South Rudra region and even the entire True Spirit continent would be included in the adventure. In the hundreds of years of history of the Sky Cloud Martial School, a lot of people had chosen to go out for adventures. However, most of them never came back. No one knew if they were still alive or dead, or if they were still far away from home and did not want to come back. From Yi Chen's expression, the head elder could tell that he was going for a big adventure, and would never come back without making some achievements. In this way, it would mean that he had given up his position as the leader of the Sky Cloud Martial School. The fourth elder was an impatient person. He hurried to say, "Yi Chen, staying in the Sky Cloud Martial School is not bad. With your talent, it is very possible for you to become an astral reaching realm warrior in the future. Our great master is also an astral reaching realm warrior. I am sure you can do it as well." Yi Chen shook his head. "Head elder, fourth elder, don't worry. During the Hidden Dragon rank competitions, I will go directly to the competitions. We can still see each other then. Let's wait for the leader to come first." The head elder was not the fourth elder. He knew that it would be useless to persuade him. Otherwise, Yi Chen would not have learned the sword intent. People who had learned the sword intent would always stick to their words. Once they had made up their mind, no one would be able to change their mind. The 36 inner masters all sat down, while Yi Chen stood in the middle of the palace. Soon, the leader of the Sky Cloud Martial School, Luo Xinglia, walked into the palace. He glanced at Yi Chen with a complicated expression, then walked straight to the main seat and sat down. "Yi Chen, the adventure is a good thing. I wonder, where do you want to go?" Yi Chen cupped his fists and said, "The South Rudra region and the True Spirit continent are all within the range of the adventure. I will make a decision according to the situation." Luo Xinglia and everyone else gasped. The South Rudra region was already huge enough, and he still wanted to go out of the South Rudra region, although there was still no sign of it yet. Waving his hand, Luo Xinglia told Yi Chen not to be so formal. He said, "You are one of the most talented martial geniuses since the founding of our Sky Cloud Martial School. No one has ever surpassed you. Theoretically, once I reach the astral reaching realm, the leader's position will be yours, and it will not be given to my son, Luo Hanshan. Do you know that?" Yi Chen thought that the True Spirit continent was just like those Wuxia novels he had read before, where the leader's position would mostly be given to their own descendants or relatives. It would be extremely difficult for outsiders to inherit the position. Even if there were, it would be very rare. However, he was not interested in power. The leader's position of the Yi family and the leader's position of the Sky Cloud Martial School were not his dream. His dream was to travel around this strange world and become a top warrior step by step. Everything else was just a dream, and he would not care about it. "Leader, I have decided to go out for the adventure. Su Jing is more than enough for the Sky Cloud Martial School. But of course, if the Sky Cloud Martial School is in trouble, Yi Chen will come back immediately no matter where he is." The other inner masters started to discuss. Someone disagreed. "Yi Chen, the outside world is indeed colorful and full of powerful warriors. But you have to know, how many people have died in the adventure. I do not want to see a rare martial genius of the Sky Cloud Martial School fall. Master Gao is right. Yi Chen, you have to think twice." Hearing him, Luo Xinglia stared at Yi Chen without blinking. He hoped that Yi Chen would give up on the adventure. As for the small adventure, he did not really care. Chapter 167. I have made up my mind. Yi Chen shook his head slowly. Before this, he had already thought about staying in the Sky Cloud Martial School for a while, at least until the Hidden Dragon rank competition was over. But no matter how he thought about it, he still could not find a reason to stay. Right now, among the young generation of the Windy Nation, he was without a doubt the #1 warrior. Without a goal, staying would only be a waste of time, and it would reduce the chance of him becoming a top warrior. The path of a warrior had always been against the natural order, fighting against time. Countless martial geniuses on the true spirit continent could not even make the last step before they died, because they thought they had plenty of time when they were young, but when they reached a certain level, they realized that it was never enough. The head elder forced a smile and said to Luo Xinglia, "Leader, let him go. The path of a powerful warrior is destined to be alone." Head elder. The fourth elder was anxious. He had high hopes for Yi Chen, and always thought that he would be the strongest supporter of the Sky Cloud Martial School. But now he was leaving, and no one knew if he would still be alive or not. How could he not be upset? The head elder said, "If his goal was not so big, maybe I would persuade him to stay. But do you think he only wants to become an astral-reaching realm warrior? His goal is the whole true spirit continent, and even the whole world. Staying in the Windy Nation, a small place like this, would indeed be hard to achieve. As for the path of a powerful warrior, it is a path of life and death. If you are afraid of death, how can you become powerful?" Everyone went silent. The head elder was right. If you were afraid of death, you would not be able to become a real powerful warrior. Every real powerful warrior had walked out of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Therefore, there was already a generation gap between them and Yi Chen, and it would be impossible for them to reach an agreement. After a long while, Luo Xinglia said, "All right, since you have such a mind, the Sky Cloud Martial School should not be a burden to you. You can go out and train. When you have made some achievements, remember to come back and let us know that you are still alive. You don't have to worry about anything else." Yi Chen took a deep breath, bowed and cupped his fists. "Thank you, leader and elders." The head elder laughed and said, "Yi Chen, training is your personal matter, of course, we will not forcefully stop you. Plus, with your talent, it is right for you to go out and explore. Who can guarantee that one day, you will not become a powerful warrior who can rule the world? At that time, our Sky Cloud Martial School will have to bask in your glory. Yeah. Since you have made up your mind to train, I will support you. Be careful outside. You only have one life. Think thrice before you act. Make sure nothing goes wrong." Seeing that Yi Chen was still unmoved, all of the inner masters did not have anything else to say. They could only hope that Yi Chen could leave safely and come back safely. As for his achievements, they did not need to worry at all. As long as he did not die, he would definitely reach the astral reaching realm. Leaving the hall, Yi Chen found Luo Hanshan standing outside. "I envy you. Now that I've gone out to train, I'm feeling very carefree." As the leader's son, Luo Hanshan knew everything that had happened in the Sky Cloud Martial School. Once he heard the news, he immediately rushed over and waited for Yi Chen outside the hall. Yi Chen grinned and said, "Actually, you can go out to train as well." Luo Hanshan gave a bitter smile and said, "Of course I have to train, but my training range is the few surrounding countries, which is too large for me to handle. But you and I are different, the Windy Nation no longer has a target for you to surpass, I have many more." Yi Chen didn't say anything. Indeed, before he became the most powerful warrior among the young generation of the Windy Nation, he had never thought about going out and gaining more experience. But after he came out of the Heaven Dream Ancient region, this thought suddenly popped up in his mind and occupied all of his mind. It was time to go, time to go. The two left the drifting cloud palace and passed by the floating cloud palace. "Your name is now the first on the ranking Jade Wall. Before you come back, no one can replace you." Luo Hanshan pointed at the Jade Wall and said. Yi Chen said, "Su Jing can't be underestimated either." Luo Hanshan said, "You don't know this, but after you came back from the scorching ancient desert over a month ago, your achievements have already spread across the entire Windy Nation. To be honest, you are the first one who has caused such a sensation in the past 100 years. The younger generation has already regarded you as a legend. Regarded me as a legend? Before this, the most glorious thing that happened in our windy nation was when Zhuang Fei broke into the Hidden Dragon ranking and was ranked 68th. But you've defeated all Hidden Dragon ranked martial artists from the other 9 nations, and even injured the multiple mountain martial school's outer head elder with a single sword move. Such an amazing achievement. If it's not a legend, then what is it? While the two were talking, Zhu Mei and Su Jing walked over from a distance. Zhu Mei glanced at Yi Chen, smiled and said, "When are we leaving?" Yi Chen said, "Let's go back to the Yi family first, we'll leave the next morning." That's good. The Hidden Dragon ranking competition will start in less than a year and a half. Only clasping Yuan realm martial artists are qualified to compete for the ranking. See you the year after next. Yi Chen nodded, his eyes fell on Su Jing. Su Jing said, "Remember, don't get killed out there." Yi Chen gave a bitter smile, couldn't she just say something nice? But this was Su Jing's personality. After separating from the three, Yi Chen went back to his small courtyard and packed his belongings, then immediately walked down the mountain and headed towards the Yi family in the Luo city. If a clasping Yuan realm martial artist ran at full speed, he could cover over 2,000 miles in 2 hours. 10 hours was equivalent to 10 hours in Yi Chen's world. Instead of rushing at full speed, Yi Chen spent 14 hours to get back to the Yi family. Just like the elders of the Sky Cloud Martial School, at first, Shen Yuqing and Yi Tianhao did not agree with Yi Chen going out to train. For them, the outside world was too big and too dangerous. An early clasping Yuan realm martial artist did not have much power to protect himself, even if Yi Chen could challenge those with higher cultivation. In the end, under Yi Chen's unshakable determination, both of them gave in. However, this time, Yi Chen had made the right decision to come back. His mother, Shen Yuqing, was pregnant again, and it might be a boy and a girl, which was undoubtedly a good thing. In the past, Yi Tianhao had thought about having more children, but for some reason, he had never been able to do it. He did not expect that he would succeed this time. Regarding this, Yi Chen thought about it. Before he left, his mother, Shen Yuqing, was pregnant. Everything was so coincidental. Could it be that this time, he would have to leave for a long time? 5 years, 10 years, or even longer, Yi Chen shook his head. Some things could not be changed by human beings. There were too many uncertainties in the training, even he himself could not be sure. The next day. Early morning. Outside the north gate of the Luo city. "Chen, remember to write me a letter when you have time." From afar, Shen Yuqing waved at Yi Chen, his eyes filled with tears. Yi Tianhao silently looked at Yi Chen's back, his eyes also filled with tears. He murmured to himself, "The young eagle has already spread its wings and soared into the sky. Having such a son is enough for me in this life." At this moment, a beam of sunlight fell from the sky, lengthening Yi Chen's shadow. Yi Chen pressed the bamboo hat that he had prepared beforehand. Without turning around, he disappeared from Yi Tianhao and Shen Yuqing's sight. Yi Chen's departure didn't startle too many people. Except for his parents, the leaders of the Sky Cloud Martial School, and Luo Hanshan and his 2 friends, no one else knew about it. Many people thought that Yi Chen was still in closed-door cultivation in the Sky Cloud Martial School. Perhaps, after a long time, they would realize that something was wrong. Chapter 168. The moon was hanging high in the sky, and the wind was blowing fiercely. The night in the Great Devil Grassland was always bleak. Within a radius of thousands of miles, there were barely any signs of human life. Instead, there were countless demonic beasts roaring everywhere. This time, Yi Chen's first stop was the Thousand Thread Nation, which was located in the northeast of the Windy Nation. He would have to cross the Great Devil Grassland to get there, otherwise, he would have to take a long detour. Not far away, a house-sized boulder was blocking the wind. Behind the boulder, there was a flickering bonfire, bringing a sense of security to this bleak night. Wiping the grease off his mouth, Yi Chen leaned against the boulder and murmured to himself, "Grassland wild boar tastes good, I can even eat it without seasoning." Grassland wild boars were of a very low rank, only rank 1 demonic beasts. In the Great Devil Grassland, they were definitely at the bottom of the food chain, and were the food for most of the other demonic beasts. However, the wild boars were extremely fertile. A female wild boar could give birth to dozens of baby wild boars, and they could even reproduce the next year. Since the ancient times, they had been the largest group of demonic beasts in the Great Devil Grassland. If it weren't for the hunting of humans and demonic beasts, the entire Great Devil Grassland would have been plagued by wild boars. Yi Chen poked the bonfire with the fire stick in his hand, making it burn even brighter. Yi Chen sat down with his legs crossed and started his daily training. The first and second stages of the Great Mystery Art were the basics of the basics. Only by building a solid foundation could one start on the third stage. The third stage focused on condensing Zhen Qi, and the quality of the Zhen Qi would not be any weaker than the Zhen Qi trained with a high-rank mortal realm art. After reaching the fourth stage, the quality of the Zhen Qi would be improved to the next level. At the fifth stage, the quality of the Zhen Qi would be even better than the pure Jun Zhen Qi, and its color would gradually turn into a light blue color. As the Zhen Qi completed one big cycle after another, there was not much pure Jun Zhen Qi left inside Yi Chen's body. The Great Mystery Zhen Qi took up more than 90% of his Zhen Qi spiral. When the rest of the pure Jun Zhen Qi turns into the Great Mystery Zhen Qi, I will be able to reach the sixth stage of the Great Mystery Art. By then, the quality and quantity of the Zhen Qi will both be greater than the original pure Jun Zhen Qi, and my overall power will be even greater. As these thoughts flashed through his mind, Yi Chen increased the speed of his Zhen Qi circulation. Hoo 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 hoo. The strong wind whistled, blowing the grass on the grassland to the ground, unable to stand up straight. The faint sound of footsteps rang out along with the wind. 2 scarlet lights slowly approached from afar, gradually approaching Yi Chen's location. Under the dim moonlight, one could see that the scarlet light was the eyes of the demon beast. It was a huge cyan wolf the size of a buffalo. Its fluffy fur was like a burning cyan flame, bouncing in the wind. Its blood-red eyes were emotionless, staring at the bonfire behind the boulder. 4th level demonic beast, blue fire wolf. 100 meters. 60 meters. 30 meters. At this time, the blue fire wolf could already see Yi Chen's side profile. Seeing that he was meditating and cultivating, a cruel glint flashed across its eyes. Whoosh! The blue fire wolf lowered its body and leapt up. The next moment, its claws were less than 3 feet away from Yi Chen. If it took one more step, it would be able to tear Yi Chen into pieces and enjoy the delicious flesh and blood. Without opening his eyes, Yi Chen made a fist with his left hand. Without any fancy moves, the blue fire wolf was blasted hundreds of meters away, and its body flipped dozens of times in the air. Boom! Its body fell heavily on the ground, and the blue fire wolf's forehead exploded. Red and white blood flowed all over the ground, and soon, it stopped breathing. Under the cover of the night, some demonic beasts that were eyeing Yi Chen like tigers whimpered, turned around and ran. That human was too scary. The blue fire wolf, which was definitely one of the best among them, could not even take one punch from him. Its head exploded, and it died miserably. The Gale City was the only city on the Devil Prairie. Its area was not any smaller than the biggest city in the northwest, the Forgotten City. It was more than 50 miles in length and width, and had a population of more than 15 million. Among them, 1/3 were migrant workers, who made a living by selling demonic beast materials. Sigh, we lost big this time. We failed to capture the demonic horse, and 5 of our members were killed by the rank 4 demonic beast, the blue fire wolf. Who knew that the demonic horse would run into the territory of the blue fire wolf? We were lucky to make it back. Poor Song Tao, it was his first time hunting with us. Since they are dead, send some money to their families. Especially Song Tao's new wife, give her double the money. Of course. Hearing the size of these warriors, Yi Chen thought to himself, people say that warriors in the Gale City earn money fast, but they also lose their lives fast. From afar, Yi Chen could see the magnificent Gale City. He pressed the edge of his bamboo hat, and quickened his pace. Not long after, Yi Chen arrived at the city gate. The soldiers guarding the city were all tall and strong, their temples were bulging, and their eyes were shining with a sharp light, which could make people shiver. Obviously, they were Mortal Realm Stage 10 warriors, and the leaders of the soldiers were even early Condensing Reality Realm warriors. If that was all, it would not be a big deal, but with Yi Chen's perception, he could clearly sense that there were clasping Yuan Realm warriors in the blockhouses on the city wall. Such a strong defense, no wonder it could stand in the middle of the Devil Prairie without being attacked by demonic beasts for thousands of years. Yi Chen was shocked. A few captains patrolled the city gate, and said loudly, 5 silvers per person, whoever dares to sneak in, not only will they be fined 10 times the entrance fee, they will also be imprisoned for 10 days. Don't do anything that you will regret, there is no medicine for regret in this world. 5 silvers. So expensive. Yi Chen remembered that the Windy City only needed 50 copper coins, and the Happy City only needed 1 silver. He did not expect that the Gale City actually needed 5 silvers, it was simply unbelievable. However, when he saw that all the people entering the city were martial artists, Yi Chen was relieved. A martial artist could earn more than 50 silvers by killing a rank 1 beast, 300 or 400 silvers by killing a rank 2 beast, and 1 or 2,000 silvers by killing a rank 3 beast. 5 silvers was just a small amount. Taking out a 5 silvers piece from his pocket, Yi Chen entered the Gale City. Captain, is it him? A captain looked at Yi Chen's back, and whispered into the captain's ear. The captain nodded, although he is wearing a bamboo hat, his body is exactly the same as the one in the portrait, we have killed him before. He, that man said that he would give us 100,000 gold and 100 low-rank soul stones after this, then our hard work these days will be worth it. 100 low-rank soul stones, you get 30%, and I get 70%, do you have any objections? How could I have any objections? Without you, Captain, this task would not be mine. That's good, you send a few punks to keep an eye on him, don't let him run out of sight, I will go inform the other party now, and get the gold and low-rank soul stones. Okay. Walking on the street, Yi Chen looked up and around. Overall, the Gale City was not as luxurious as the Happy City, the structure of the buildings was mainly solid, looking both magnificent and practical. Of course, not all the buildings were like this, in the distance, there were restaurants rising from the ground, 4 to 5 stories high, 5 to 6 stories high, looking majestic, and some places were even inlaid with precious metals. I am tired of eating barbecue every day, let's go in and sit and take a bath. Feeling relaxed, Yi Chen walked to the nearest luxury restaurant. Sir, how many? The waiter bowed and said respectfully. Yi Chen threw a 10 silver piece to the waiter, and said lightly, just 1, give me a first-class room, and prepare hot water. Okay, this way please. The waiter put the money into his pocket, and happily led Yi Chen upstairs. This was a very spacious guest room, there was a living room full of landscape paintings, a comfortable bedroom, and a bathroom for bathing. In the middle of the bathroom was a small pool, filled with hot water, and the steam slowly rose, making everything hazy. Taking off his clothes, Yi Chen jumped into the pool, and immediately let out a comfortable moan. Lying on the back of the pool, Yi Chen said leisurely, it's so good to be rich. In the other world, although I was a student at a famous university, I was still an orphan. I had to work during the summer and winter holidays, and the money I earned was not even enough for my monthly living expenses. I didn't even dare to have a girlfriend, because I was afraid of spending money. But here, the gold I have is enough for me to live for a few lifetimes. If I sell my valuable things, I would be richer than the 10 corrupt officials of the Windy Nation combined. Before his soul traveled to this world, Yi Chen was very envious of the martial artists in the martial arts novels. They all drank and ate, and spent money like water. They never had to worry about not having enough money, and when they ran out of money, they could just go out and do some business, and they could earn more money than an ordinary person could earn in 10 lifetimes. Then, they could continue to practice their martial arts. Now, his dream had come true, and he was even more carefree than those so-called martial artists, and he was even more powerful than them. He could casually kill a level 5 or level 6 demon beast, and he could earn tens of thousands of silvers. It was okay if he didn't want to kill demon beasts, because the gold he had was enough for him to use for a long time, and the low-rank and mid-rank soul stones were not included. While thinking, Yi Chen closed his eyes, and fell into a 90% deep sleep. The remaining 10% of consciousness was hidden deep in his mind, and if someone entered the room, he would be able to sense it immediately. In another private room of a restaurant, a middle-aged man with a scar on his face was sitting on a comfortable leather chair, drinking wine. It was the Purple Sun Martial School's intelligence master, Zhu Liang. Bang bang bang. Someone knocked on the door of the private room. Zhu Liang said with a cold voice, "Come in." The door opened, and the captain of the soldiers walked in with a bow. "The person you want us to pay attention to has arrived in the Gale City, and is currently in the Great Jinhua restaurant. Look, gold and soul stones. Gold and soul stones will be yours, keep watching." "But, didn't you say that you would give it to us once the good guy arrived?" Zhu Liang's eyes were like knives. He glanced at the captain's face. "Are you afraid that I won't give it to you? 100,000 gold and 100 low-rank soul stones are nothing to me. On the other hand, if you let that brat escape, not only will you not get a single cent, I will also take your life." "Yes, yes." The captain of the soldiers was a peak early condensing reality realm warrior, but under Zhu Liang's stare, he was sweating profusely, and his legs were shaking. "All right, you can leave now." Waiting until the captain left, Zhu Liang grinned. "Yi Chen, you didn't expect that we have a spy in the Sky Cloud Martial School, did you? We will know once you leave. Let's see where you can run to this time." Chapter 169. Yi Chen didn't wake up until the evening. His iron-like skin didn't wrinkle after being soaked in the hot water. Instead, he looked even more energetic. After changing into a clean set of clothes, Yi Chen walked out of the room and went downstairs. "Sir, let me show you to a private room." There were many waiters in this restaurant. This one wasn't the one Yi Chen had seen before, but he wasn't stupid. He knew that people who could afford expensive rooms would definitely be able to afford a private room. After all, a night in Jinhua restaurant cost 50 taels of gold, which was equivalent to 500 taels of silver. Yi Chen nodded. He was indeed hungry. Jinhua restaurant had 5 floors. The 4th and 5th floors were guest rooms, the 3rd and 2nd floors were private rooms, and only the 1st floor was the main hall, which could accommodate many people. At the door of the 6th private room on the 3rd floor, the waiter pushed the door open, bowed and said, "This is the best private room of our restaurant, please come in." Walking in, Yi Chen took a quick glance at the private room. The environment of the private room was very good, it could even be called luxurious. On the east side of the room, there was a huge window, from which he could see the street outside. However, this wasn't too strange for him. He quickly turned his eyes back and said, "Bring us all the specialties of your restaurant, and 3 pots of good wine, the stronger the better." "All right, please wait a moment." After the door was closed, Yi Chen sat on a leather chair in front of the table. After watching the street for a while, Yi Chen felt bored, so he took out a sheathed longsword from his storage ring. Clang! He pulled out the sword, and a cold sword light shone. As the sword light faded away, one could see the long and thin lines on the body of the sword, which looked like coiling dragons. The Dragon Spring Sword, the best sword produced by the Sky Cloud Martial School. It's indeed one grade higher than the Hidden Cloud Sword. Holding the sword, Yi Chen slashed at the air. Puff! Without using any Jin Qi, the air was cut open by the sharp edge of the sword. The process was very smooth, without any hindrance. Putting the sword back into its sheath, Yi Chen thought to himself, the Dragon Spring Sword is basically the best weapon an ordinary warrior can make, but I wonder how to make a graded treasure, and how to store those special energies in it, so that it can increase a warrior's attacking power. Great weapons were not something that normal martial institutions could make, even rank 7 martial institutions could not do it. Most of the great weapons in the Windy Nation came from the outside world, or were found in some ruins. If one wanted to make one themselves, it would be extremely hard, even harder than reaching the astral reaching realm. At least there was still a way to reach the astral reaching realm, but no one knew how to make great weapons. The Hidden Cloud Sword had been destroyed, and Ji Hao couldn't find a suitable low-rank sword for the time being. Fortunately, the Dragon Spring Sword was not bad. Except for the fact that it couldn't release sword chi by itself, it was much harder than the Hidden Cloud Sword. Therefore, Ji Hao should be able to use it for a period of time. Of course, if he had the chance, he would still buy a low-rank sword. A series of knocks came from the door. Yi Chen put the Dragon Spring Sword back into his storage ring. Creak. 4 waiters walked in with dishes in their hands. The leading waiter smiled and said, "Dear guest, our Gale City is located in the Great Devil Grassland. There are countless demonic beasts here, and the most special dishes are the demonic beasts' recipes. Please try it, it's definitely fresher and more tender than ordinary meat. I've heard about this before, can you introduce some dishes to me?" Alright, this dish is called Phoenix Spreading Wings, it's made from the wings of a rank 3 demonic beast, red smelting bird, cooked through 18 steps. This dish is called Old Tree Blooming, it's made from the gallbladder of a rank 2 demonic beast, Iron Gut Snake. Step by step, it's made from the meat of a bamboo snake, Mountain Snow, it's made from a rank 3 demonic beast. The waiter seemed to have practiced this before. He listed all the dishes on the table in one breath, without pausing in the middle, and finished everything in one go. Yi Chen tasted one of the dishes and found that it tasted surprisingly good. What's more, the yuan qi contained in the meat hadn't completely dissipated. For ordinary people, it was definitely a great tonic. Alright, you can leave now. Yi Chen poured himself a glass of wine and waved his hand to let them leave. Perhaps it was a habit, but while eating, Yi Chen subconsciously spread out his soul power, covering the surrounding 500 meters. Yi Chen furrowed his brows. In the private room next door. "Captain, didn't we agree to pay when the person arrives? Why do we still need to monitor him?" There were 2 people sitting at the table, and the one who spoke was the captain of the guards at the city gate. However, he had changed out of his soldier's armor and put on a warrior's uniform. The captain, who was also wearing a warrior's uniform, said, "That person's strength is even higher than the lieutenant, we can't provoke him. Forget it, let's continue to monitor him. Anyway, we've endured for so many days, we don't have to worry about 1 or 2 days. When the time comes, we'll have 100,000 gold and 100 low-rank spirit stones. I'm not afraid of getting tired, I'm afraid that the other party won't pay. That shouldn't be possible. I think he has a high status, that gold and spirit stones are nothing to him. I hope so." The 2 of them kept their voices low, they thought that they could hide it from the others, but little did they know that all of this had already fallen into Yi Chen's senses. "It seems that I'm the target. The Multiple Mountain Martial School is too far away from here, so it's not possible. It's probably the Purple Sun Martial School." Back in the Heavenly Dream Ancient region, Ouyang Lai and Ouyang Ming were determined to kill them, and Yi Chen believed that the Purple Sun Martial School's leaders were involved. Yi Chen's expression remained unchanged, he kept eating and drinking, as if nothing had happened. After dinner, Yi Chen went back to the guest room on the 4th floor to rest. Late at night, the silhouette sat on the bed with his legs crossed and slowly let out a breath. The 6th level of the Great Mystery Art had been achieved. At this moment, the pure Jun Jin Qi inside Yi Chen's body had disappeared, and was replaced by the purer and greater Great Mystery Qi. The Zhen Qi spiral formed by the Great Mystery Zhen Qi was 10% larger than the pure Jun Jin Qi spiral. It had a light blue color, and was extremely pure. It looked like the airflow formed by a light blue crystal. It was lively yet steady, and it was pure yet lethal. My cultivation hasn't improved, but my power has improved. I wonder what will the 7th level of the Great Mystery Art be like. Yi Chen didn't feel sleepy at all. He walked out of the bed. Yes, yes, yes. What made him a bit speechless was that moaning sounds came from the room next to his. Even though he had never experienced it before, he knew what the other party was doing. Sleep early. I'll leave tomorrow morning. With a bitter smile, Yi Chen tried his best to suppress his boiling blood, and went back to bed. What? He just came yesterday, and he's leaving today. In a private room of a restaurant, Zhu Liang's eyebrows twitched as he said in a low voice. The captain lowered his head and said, yes, he paid for the room not long ago, and left the Great Jinhua restaurant, heading towards the East City Gate. Damn you! Can't I kill you again this time? Zhu Liang felt that he had nowhere to vent his anger, so he pressed his palm on the purple vibrating wood table next to him. Without making any sound, the wooden table was burned into nothingness, not even a speck of dust was left behind. The captain was so scared that he didn't even dare to breathe, fearing that Zhu Liang would slap him into ashes. After a long while, Zhu Liang calmed down, took out a small box from his storage ring, stood up and said, there are 10,000 gold and 10 low-rank soul stones in here. After saying that, he lifted his foot and was about to leave. The captain froze for a second, then forced a smile and said, Sir, didn't we agree on 100,000 gold and 100 low-rank soul stones? You still dare to ask for gold and low-rank soul stones? Do you believe that I won't kill you with one slap? Zhu Liang's cold voice came. Don't. The captain had never been so frustrated before, but in front of Zhu Liang, he had to endure it no matter how frustrated he was. He thought to himself, it looks like you don't have the confidence to kill that guy. Alright, I hope you get killed by him. Walking out of the restaurant, Zhu Liang rushed towards the East City Gate as fast as the wind. Yi Chen, I will never let you get away this time. I will follow you for now. When the few leaders of the hunting hall arrive, it will be your death day. Last time, Zhu Liang was severely injured by a demonic beast in the Silent Hills. He had to rest for 3 months to fully recover, but when he fully recovered, he learned that Yi Chen had severely injured the multiple mountain martial school's head elder, who was a peak-level mid-clasping Yuan realm martial artist, with a single sword attack. This was definitely a heavy blow to him, because he was only a peak-level early clasping Yuan realm martial artist. He was no longer a match for Yi Chen. Otherwise, he would have gone after Yi Chen by himself long ago, instead of sending people to keep an eye on him and wait for the hunting hall's leader to arrive. However, the leader of the hunting hall still needed half a day to arrive, so he didn't have much time left. Walking out of the East City Gate, Zhu Liang activated his flying art and flew as fast as lightning. Soon, Zhu Liang saw the back of a young man, who was wearing a bamboo hat. Unhurriedly moving forward, Yi Chen released his soul power to its limit. He could sense everything within a radius of 1,000 meters. He's here. Without turning his head around, Yi Chen had already pictured the young man's face in his mind with only his soul power. It was a man with a scar on his face. He seemed to have seen this young man before during the inner disciple ranking competition. Back then, this young man was an invited guest, sitting together with other famous martial artists. Without slowing down, Yi Chen flew towards a less populated area. Something's wrong. Does he know that I am following him? Zhu Liang's eyelids twitched. Before, he dared to follow Yi Chen directly because there were a lot of clasping Yuan realm martial artists, which made it less noticeable. But now, within a radius of a few miles, there was no one else. Right at this moment, Yi Chen turned around and looked at him with a faint smile on his face. Run! Without thinking about anything else, Zhu Liang activated his Jin Qi to its limit, turned around and prepared to run. You can't get away. Unknowingly, another Yi Chen had appeared behind Zhu Liang, blocking his way. What's going on? Zhu Liang turned around and saw that the previous Yi Chen had disappeared along with the wind. It was actually a Jin Qi silhouette, not the real Yi Chen. What do you want? Zhu Liang tried to stay calm. Stroking his storage ring, Yi Chen said blandly, if I'm not wrong, your identity as a martial artist is just a disguise. Your real identity is an elder of the Purple Sun Martial School, am I right? In rank 7 institutions, martial artists who had reached the clasping Yuan realm were qualified to become outer elders. Of course, if one was a disciple before, one could temporarily not become an outer elder. Once one's cultivation reached a certain level, one could directly become an inner elder and hold a part of the power of the school. Don't joke around, I'm just a martial artist. Yi Chen sneered, and the dragon spring sword appeared in his hand. Chapter 170. Don't waste your time, you're going to die today. As soon as the word die came out of his mouth, the dragon spring sword flew out of its sheath and swung towards Zhu Liang, who was 10 steps away from him. Zhu Liang had been prepared for this. His fire-attributed Jin Qi surged out of his body and transformed into a huge fireball. The temperature of the fireball was incredibly high, and tiny sparks of flame fell off from it, burning fist-sized black holes on the ground and raising a puff of smoke. With the protection of the fireball, Zhu Liang's confidence was boosted. He thought to himself, my scorching sun protective art has already reached the highest level, the 9th level. Even if I can't take the opponent's attack, I won't be broken by a single sword attack. As for that multiple mountain martial school's head elder, he was too careless. Puff! The light blue sword Qi instantly hacked on the fireball, and a terrifying cutting power burst out, bringing up tens of thousands of fire sparks. Before Zhu Liang realized what was going on, his defensive Jin Qi had already been broken, and his right arm was sent flying away. I am the Purple Sun Martial School's intelligence elder, how dare you kill me? If you kill me, you'll die too. Even if you run to the end of the world, you won't be able to escape. The bone-piercing pain made Zhu Liang's face twist. Only until now did he realize that Yi Chen was indeed too powerful for him to handle. Therefore, he didn't have the time to worry about his own injuries, and crazily boosted up his Jin Qi, darted out, and yelled. Cut! Yi Chen didn't move at all, instead, he launched another even more powerful sword Qi. Puff! While he was on his way, Zhu Liang's body was split into two. Blood gushed out and dyed a large patch of grass red. Not bad, but too bad, not as good as Hong Qianjun. Shaking his head, Yi Chen waved his hand, and Zhu Liang's right arm flew over, then shattered into pieces, leaving only a storage ring in his hand. Injecting his Jin Qi into the storage ring, Yi Chen quickly expelled the remaining Jin Qi from Zhu Liang's body, and opened the space inside. This guy is quite rich. A smile appeared on Yi Chen's face. In the small space, there were a total of 50 big chests and 30 small chests. The big chests contained 100,000 gold taels, and the small chests contained 10,000 gold taels. In addition, there was a pile of low-grade spirit stones. A rough estimate showed that there were at least 20,000 of them, which was equivalent to 8 million gold taels. As for the other things, Yi Chen did not care about them. Raising his head, Yi Chen looked in the direction of the Gale City and mumbled to himself, the Purple Sun Martial School wouldn't just send out an intelligence elder to kill me. There should be more powerful ones behind me. I should leave first. Using the shadow clone technique, Yi Chen raised his speed to the limit. In just a few blinks of an eye, he was already several miles away. When he looked again, he was nowhere to be found. A long time after Yi Chen left, 3 silhouettes flew over. Their speed was so fast that they left a purple wave of air behind them. It was gorgeous and domineering. Bang! 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 A few huge cracks appeared on the ground. 3 silhouettes landed on the ground. One was a middle-aged man with a gloomy face, one was an ugly elder, and the last one was a muscular man with a full beard. The 3 of them looked very different, but the aura they emitted was equally dangerous. Glancing at Zhu Liang's dead body, the gloomy middle-aged man's face became colder and colder. Useless thing. You can't even follow someone well. What a waste of your title as the intelligence elder of the Purple Sun Martial School. Good, this little brat did not go far. With our speed, we will catch up with him soon. The ugly elder laughed and said, our speed is close to the speed of sound. This little brat will not be able to run away. Let's go. The muscular man did not smile, but he was obviously the leader of the 3. After giving the order, the 3 of them jumped up from the ground and flew into the distance. Soon, they disappeared into the horizon. The Great Devil Prairie was thousands of miles in radius, and there were countless beasts. At this moment, Yi Chen was blocked by a black-crowned serpent, a 6th-rank demonic beast. This black-crowned serpent is faster than me. It can fly in the air with its beast chi. Fortunately, it is only an ordinary 6th-rank demonic beast, which is equal to a peak-level mid-clasping Yuan realm martial artist. I can barely defeat it. Otherwise, I would have to pay a big price to leave today. Standing still, Yi Chen looked at the black-crowned serpent up and down. This black-crowned serpent was over 40 meters long, and its coiled body looked like a small hill. The scales on its body were as big as human heads, shining with a black luster. On its huge head, there was a black crown, which made it look quite terrifying. Croak, croak, croak. Different from ordinary snake-type demonic beasts, this black-crowned serpent's voice was no longer a hiss, but a high-pitched cry, which sounded like the cry of a baby. Mountain condensed sword chi. Before the black-crowned serpent made any move, Yi Chen launched the first attack. He unsheathed the dragon spring sword and released a mountain-thick stream of sword chi. The black-crowned serpent was enraged. It swung its water-tank-thick tail horizontally, scraped off a layer of the ground and heavily bumped against the light blue sword chi. The black-crowned serpent didn't even have the time to release its power before it was shattered by the tail, turning into countless tiny pieces of sword chi, splashing in all directions. It seems that the multiple mountain martial school's head elder is quite powerful, said Yi Chen with a serious look. His body flashed across the air, leaving a shred of Zhen Qi silhouette behind. Puff! Once the shred of Zhen Qi silhouette was formed, it was minced into pieces by the black-crowned serpent's tail. Meanwhile, Yi Chen had already floated up into the air and launched a light hack down towards the black-crowned serpent. Supreme Shocking Cloud. The sword chi dazzled across the air, along with a thunderous boom. A huge wound was cut open on the black-crowned serpent's body, from which gray-red blood gushed out like a fountain. The black-crowned serpent screamed towards the sky in pain. The strong sound waves spread out and shattered the surrounding grassland, sending grass pieces flying in all directions. High up in the air, a middle-aged man with a sallow skin, wearing a large blue robe, was pouring wine into his mouth from a wine calabash. Seeing this, he laughed and said, "This kid is not bad, at such a young age, he has already reached the highest level of the Shocking Cloud sword art. He even has the sword intent. No wonder that old bastard Cloud Dreamer asked me to protect him and kill some ants." This middle-aged man in a blue robe was actually an astral-reaching realm powerful martial artist, Thunder Freer. Wiping the wine off his mouth corner, Thunder Freer shook his head and said, what a shame, this black-crowned serpent is not so easy to deal with. Even martial artists at the same level would have to stay away from it. It's one of the dominators of the great devil grassland, many times more powerful than the wind vulture, which only relies on its speed. Down on the ground. The black-crowned serpent's eyes turned blood-red because of the pain, then it spurted out a fan-shaped beam of black light towards Yi Chen. Wherever the black light reached, the ground would be corroded, leaving a tens of meters wide hole, and the black liquid would emit a strong stinky smell. Watch out! Yi Chen's body flashed across the air, leaving a series of Zhen-Qi afterimages in the air. Pop, 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 the Zhen-Qi afterimages were instantly swept away by the black light, disappearing into thin air. Dodging the black light, Yi Chen landed hundreds of meters away, murmured to himself, "It seems like I have to use the one-sword attack." While talking, he took a step forward with his right foot, holding the sword with both of his hands, and swung the sword out. Swoosh! The sword qi condensed into a beam of white light, darted out at an unimaginable speed, and hacked on the black-crowned serpent's head. The black-crowned serpent didn't even have the time to dodge, and a huge gap appeared on its head, even its skull was damaged. It had already developed a trace of intelligence, so it didn't dare to risk its life against Yi Chen anymore. The beast qi around its body surged, rolled it up, and flew out to 300 meters away within the blink of an eye. Ho! Letting out a deep breath, Yi Chen was secretly shocked. The black-crowned serpent was only an ordinary rank 6 demonic beast, but it was already so powerful. If it wasn't for the fact that he had mastered one of the most powerful ancient sword arts, the one-sword refining, he would have been the one running away, and he might not even have been able to escape. Before the first wave died down, another wave came. Yi Chen turned around, and sensed 3 extremely powerful auras approaching him. They were even a bit faster than the black-crowned serpent, and it was impossible for him to dodge. Die! Miles away, the 3 Taoists darted over. The middle-aged man on the left reached out his right hand and pressed it in the air. Instantly, a scorching palm made of Zhen-Qi sliced through the air and attacked. Late clasping Yuan realm martial artists. Facing such a great danger, Yi Chen didn't panic, he once again performed the one-sword attack. A beam of white light pierced through the palm made of Zhen-Qi and exploded. The middle-aged man was surprised. Although his palm attack seemed to have been launched from miles away, it still contained 70 to 80% of its power. Even a mid-clasping Yuan realm martial artist would be killed by it, but this kid managed to resist it for a while. No wonder he was one of the top geniuses in the 9 nations. "We can't let this kid live," the sturdy man said coldly. The middle-aged man and the ugly elder nodded. Recently, the Purple Sun Martial School had lost too many geniuses, and they were no longer as powerful as the Sky Cloud Martial School. If Yi Chen was allowed to grow, the Purple Sun Martial School would no longer be able to suppress the Sky Cloud Martial School, instead, they would be suppressed by the Sky Cloud Martial School, which was something they couldn't accept. The 3 of them moved at an amazing speed, and covered miles in just a few blinks of an eye. Shoo! 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 The 3 of them landed on the ground, and stared at Yi Chen as if he was a dead man. "You are from the Purple Sun Martial School." Yi Chen's expression didn't change. The ugly elder grinned and said with an evil intention, "You are quite calm, you have the chance to become someone great." "That's right, we are the leaders of the hunting hall, we are responsible for hunting the enemies of our martial school. You are so young, and you are already our target, you should be proud of yourself." Yi Chen responded blandly, "I won't die today." Hee. "Do you really think someone will come and save you?" The middle-aged man grinned, he was not in a hurry to attack. After all, there were 3 late-clasping Yuan realm martial artists here, what else could Yi Chen do? "Maybe you don't know yet, but before I left, I had a secret discussion with the leader and the head elder. They said that they would send a powerful warrior to protect me before I leave the Windy Nation. If I guessed it right, this powerful warrior should be nearby, he just hasn't shown up yet. Yi Chen was telling the truth. He knew that he was the most powerful warrior among the young generation of the Windy Nation, but compared to the powerful warriors from the older generation, he was still much weaker. Therefore, the leader and the head elder didn't trust him, and said that there would be a powerful warrior protecting him all the way until he left the Windy Nation. However, he still didn't know who would be protecting him. I would like to see where the powerful warrior is. Come out. The middle-aged man didn't believe what Yi Chen had said. Besides, this grassland was flat, and they could see everything clearly. A powerful warrior would never be able to hide from them. Pop! Once he said this, a 1-meter thick lightning bolt descended from the sky, and struck on the middle-aged man's body at an unimaginable speed. This late-clasping Yuan realm martial artist didn't even have a chance to fight back before his entire body was turned into ashes. The ground under his body was punctured by the lightning bolt for hundreds of meters deep. Not only Yi Chen, even the sturdy man and the ugly elder gasped, their fine hairs stood up. Chapter 171. The tall and sturdy man yelled towards the sky, "Thunder Freer, do you know what the consequence of killing the leader of our Purple Sun Martial School is? You still have a chance to leave now. Do you want to be chased by the Great Master again?" The ugly elder was not as calm as the tall and sturdy man. He knew that his life was in the hands of the Great Master. If the Great Master was determined to kill them, running away would be useless. He could only hope that the Great Master of the Purple Sun Martial School would scare the Great Master away and make him give up on protecting Yi Chen. Boom! An even thicker thunder arc struck down. It split in half and hit the tall and sturdy man and the ugly elder respectively. The two of them followed in the footsteps of the middle-aged man. Even their protective Shin-Chi had been shattered by the thunder arc. 2 deep holes appeared on the ground. Thunder and fire were burning inside. Tiny electric arcs were everywhere, floating in the air and making cracking noises. Is this the power of an astral-reaching realm warrior? After coming back to his senses, Yi Chen immediately realized that it was an astral-reaching realm warrior who was protecting him. But what shocked him was that the 3 late-clasping Yuan realm warriors did not even have the chance to fight back before they were turned into ashes by the thunder arc that came from the sky. The gap between the two of them was way too huge. Swoosh! In the sky, a beam of thunder light tore apart the clouds and shot down at a speed that was way faster than the speed of sound. Vaguely, a human figure could be seen within the thunder light. In the next second, the thunder light disappeared. The human figure flashed and landed near Yi Chen. He mumbled, "It would have been better if you didn't mention the fire bastard. But now that you have mentioned him, I will not let you go." Yi Chen took a deep breath, bowed and cupped his hands. "Thank you, Thunder Freer, for saving my life." Turning his head, Thunder Freer laughed, "Cloud Dreamer and I are old friends. I have to help him out. Plus, I have not liked the Purple Sun Martial School and the Fire Bastard for a long time." "Fire Bastard, is he the Great Master of the Purple Sun Martial School?" Yi Chen had heard from Luo Hanshan that the 5 top-ranked martial institutions of the Windy Nation were guarded by great elders, and only astral-reaching realm martial artists could become great elders. This was also the main reason why the Ghost Man didn't dare to attack the 5 top-ranked martial institutions. After all, even if the Ghost Man hadn't fully recovered, he was still a real astral-reaching realm martial artist. He has already reached the mid-astral reaching realm. Cloud Dreamer and I are both at the peak level of early astral reaching realm. But 20 years ago, he did not dare to be so arrogant. Your great master Cloud Dreamer's brother disciple, the Dark Cloud Dreamer, was even more powerful than him. Unfortunately, he was easily provoked and died in the siege of the 9 ghost cult's powerful warriors. This had a lot to do with the Fire Bastard. I suspect that he had been working with the remaining forces of the 9 ghost cult. 9 evil cult. He is not afraid of public anger. Yi Chen was surprised. He is not the only one. Back then, the Nine Evil cult was already doomed, and the remaining forces could not do anything. Therefore, many people started to have bad ideas. They planned to use the remaining forces of the Nine Evil cult to get rid of the dissidents and suppress the other martial institutions. The former leader of the Sky Cloud Martial School, Cloud Dreamer, seemed to be a hot-tempered man, but he was just too honest. That was why he suffered such a big loss. He lost a lot of powerful martial artists, and suddenly dropped from a top rank 8 martial institution to a rank 9 martial institution. Fortunately, that Cloud Dreamer was smart and cunning. He saved the Sky Cloud Martial School in an extremely dangerous situation, and also set up a trap to kill that fire bastard's brother and a few top inner masters of the Purple Sun Martial School. Hearing him, Yi Chen nodded. No matter where it was, as long as there were people, there would be conflicts and conspiracies. From small families to big martial institutions, no one would be spared, unless human beings were no longer human beings, they were just wooden dummies with no intelligence. I killed the 3 of them, that fire bastard must be furious. Unfortunately, he could not do anything to me. I am all alone, and I can come and go freely, unlike him, who has to guard the Purple Sun Martial School. Thunder Freer grabbed the wine gourd and poured a mouthful of wine into his mouth, he said casually. It was the first time for Yi Chen to meet an astral-reaching realm warrior. He knew that this was a rare opportunity, so he asked, Thunder Freer, is the difference between the astral-reaching realm and the clasping Yuan realm really that big? I can easily kill a late clasping Yuan realm warrior, it would be as easy as blowing off dust. Look! While drinking, Thunder Freer raised his left hand. Who? A bright light shone, and a dark blue Jin Yuan appeared in the center of Thunder Freer's left hand. This Jin Yuan had no impurities, it was even purer than a crystal, and even brighter than a gem. If it could be condensed into a solid form, it would definitely be priceless in the world where Yi Chen came from. Did you find anything? Thunder Freer asked. Yi Chen thought for a while, then said, it is more than 10 times purer than Jin Qi. Could it be that it was extracted from Jin Qi? Just like my mysterious great art, if I train it to the highest level, I can extract a mouthful of Jin Yuan, which can easily kill a warrior at the same level as me. Thunder Freer looked impressed, very smart. Jin Yuan is the essence of Jin Qi. With the amount of Jin Qi you have right now, you might not be able to extract a mouthful of Jin Yuan. Even if you could, it would be very, very small, and could only be used once. However, astral-reaching realm warriors have Jin Yuan all over their bodies. If I could not kill a late clasping Yuan realm warrior with one attack, then I would not be able to live in this world anymore. So that's how it is. Liquefying Jin Qi into Jin Qi is not that different. But refining Jin Qi into Jin Yuan, the difference is unbelievably huge. After all, the former 2 are only changes in form, while the latter 2 are changes in level. They are not even comparable. Yi Chen thought about it. Thunder Freer continued, however, there are exceptions to everything. There are also examples of late clasping Yuan realm warriors beating astral reaching realm warriors, but the difficulty has been magnified by 10 times. Take you as an example, if your sword intent could not grow, and you did not have any special encounters, you would still be killed by me with one attack when you reach the late clasping Yuan realm. Yi Chen remained silent. What Thunder Freer said was the truth. The higher the level of a warrior, the harder it would be for him to challenge someone with a higher cultivation. With his current achievement, he could only be counted as a rare genius in the Sky Cloud Martial School. Compared to the whole South Rudra region or the whole True Spirit continent, he would not even be worth mentioning. I am not trying to discourage you, I am just giving you an example. With your talent, your sword intent will never stop growing. If you can reach the completion level, and if you have some other special encounters, you might be able to escape from an astral reaching realm warrior's attack. However, it would be very difficult to fight against them. In the past 100 years, very few people had managed to do it. Xianhou was one of the best. When she was still a late clasping Yuan realm warrior, she had even killed a couple of astral reaching realm warriors. Her battling power was extremely horrifying, and she was called the top of the top. Xianhou, it was Xianhou again. Yi Chen had heard her name more than once. As long as it was about the records of warriors, she would always be number one, and no one would be able to surpass her. She was the top of all the martial geniuses, or in other words, the king of all the martial geniuses in the past hundreds of years. She was so famous that no one could compete with her. Yi Chen did not know how amazing she was back then, but he was sure that if the two of them were at the same age, Yi Chen would definitely be the one who would be bullied. It could be seen from the way she had broken through. Becoming a condensing reality realm warrior at the age of 11, clasping Yuan realm at the age of 14, astral reaching realm at the age of 18, Sea of Souls realm at the age of 25, and reaching the life and death realm at the age of 35. She was the youngest life and death realm warrior in the past 1,000 years. Just hearing this record made Yi Chen's hair stand on end. He was almost 17 years old, and was still at the early clasping Yuan realm. It would be almost impossible for him to catch up to her, unless he had more special encounters than her. Thinking about this, Yi Chen became even more determined to go out and train. If he did not go out and train, he might not be able to become a life and death realm warrior in 500 years, not to mention catching up to Xianhou. You should know that time waits for no one, especially when you're young. You have to seize every second of your time. You can't afford to waste even a single second. You should understand that it's the best time for young people to improve themselves. When you get older, your mentality will change, and your progress will slow down, and you will no longer be able to maintain your peak condition. Since the ancient times, which one of the truly powerful warriors didn't climb up to where they were when they were still young? If you can't become a powerful warrior when you're young, then you will never be able to conquer the whole world and rule the whole true spirit continent. Yi Chen nodded. Senior Thunder Freer, I understand this. That's why I'm so eager to go out and train. I want to seize my own special encounters, or those that don't belong to me. Special encounters, special encounters. This is the most important thing to become a powerful warrior. Unfortunately, I didn't have any special encounters back then, so I will stop at the astral reaching realm for the rest of my life. After sighing, Thunder Freer said seriously, when you reach the mid or late clasping Yuan realm, you have to get a higher level martial art, the higher the better. Yi Chen knew what he was talking about, but he didn't quite understand the details, so he said, if the martial arts rank is too low, then the training speed will be slow. I wonder what rank your Great Thunder Art is. Mid-rank Earth Realm, there isn't a single high-rank Earth Realm martial art in the whole Windy Nation. Even the Emerald Martial Palace's Great Mountain and Water Art is only incomplete, not a high-rank Earth Realm martial art. As for why I want you to get a higher-level martial art, it's because when you reach the Astral Reaching Realm, the training speed of a mid-rank Earth Realm martial art is too slow. I spent a whole 10 years to reach the early Astral Reaching Realm from the peak of late clasping Yuan Realm, 10 years. How much time have I wasted in these 10 years? If I have a higher level martial art, I might be able to make further progress. Training a mid-rank Earth Realm martial art would take 10 years to reach the Astral Reaching Realm from the peak of late clasping Yuan Realm. Yi Chen was a bit shocked, but he soon understood. Indeed. The 5 leaders of the Windy Nation had been stuck at the peak of late clasping Yuan Realm for a couple of years now, and still hadn't had the opportunity to make a breakthrough. The biggest reason seemed to be that their martial arts rank was too low, and the Jin Yuan extraction speed was too slow. Chapter 172. Looking at the sky, Thunder Freer continued, I reached the peak level late clasping Yuan realm when I was 46, and reached the astral reaching realm when I was 56. After that, I only managed to reach the peak level early astral reaching realm from the early astral reaching realm. Without any surprises, the martial arts that are suitable for astral reaching realm warriors should be high-rank Earth Realm or even top-rank Earth Realm martial arts, while the ones suitable for Seas of Souls realm warriors should be Heaven realm martial arts. If you can't even reach this basic requirement, you will be left behind by other warriors with the same level of talent. Yi Chen, you can give away everything except the martial arts. A good martial art can save you a lot of time. For example, if you have a high-rank Earth realm martial art, it would only take you 7 to 8 years to reach the astral reaching realm from the peak-level late clasping Yuan realm. If you have a top-rank Earth realm martial art, it would only take you 5 to 6 years, and a low-rank Heaven realm martial art would take you 2 to 3 years. It will be the foundation for you to become a powerful warrior. When you give it to someone else, you are giving the opportunity to become a powerful warrior to them. You have to remember this. I know. Thank you Senior Thunder Freer for reminding me. Before, although Yi Chen knew about the effects of martial arts, he did not know much about them. Right now, after hearing Thunder Freer's words, he finally realized that there was a huge difference between having a high-level martial art and not having a high-level martial art. Taking one step forward, one step backward, one step further, one step further, one step further. Alright, I have said everything I need to say. From now on, you will have to rely on yourself. Whether you can become a powerful warrior or not, no one can help you. Before you leave the Windy Nation, I will be watching you from above. You can take care of the small problems yourself. Thunder Freer appreciated Yi Chen, which was why he reminded him. If it were someone else, he would not have bothered to talk to him. Swoosh! Thunder Freer's body shone with a bright thunder light as he flew into the sky within a second. Letting out a deep breath, Yi Chen thought to himself, I am still far from enough. Passing through the Devil Grassland, what appeared in front of Yi Chen's eyes was a vast river, called the Wild Goose Falling River. This river was the natural border between the Windy Nation and the Thousand Thread Nation. It is said that even wild geese cannot fly across the Wild Goose Falling River. They will fall into the river midway. I wonder if that is true. Yi Chen frowned as information about the Wild Goose Falling River appeared in his mind. Once a martial artist reached the early clasping Yuan realm, he or she would be able to fly in the air, but it was not unlimited. Once he or she used up all of his Jin Qi, he or she would still have to find a foothold. Only late clasping Yuan realm martial artists would be able to fly for a long time. Apart from that, early clasping Yuan realm warriors could not fly very high, only around 1,000 meters. Mid-clasping Yuan realm warriors could fly up to 2,000 meters, and late-clasping Yuan realm warriors could reach up to 3,000 meters. If one became an astral reaching realm warrior, he could even reach tens of thousands of meters in the air. With Yi Chen's cultivation, he could only fly to a height of 1,000 meters. He couldn't compare to the wild geese, so he probably couldn't fly over the Wild Goose Falling River. Let's try it out first. There were hardly any signs of human habitation here, and since he couldn't find a ferry, he could only rely on himself. Whoosh! Extending his body, Yi Chen flew above the river and flew into the distance. After flying for about 10 miles, the airflow in the surroundings suddenly became chaotic, forming swirls of airflow, which consumed Yi Chen's Jin Qi. After punching through the swirls of airflow, Yi Chen thought to himself, no wonder the wild geese couldn't fly over. The airflow above the Wild Goose Falling River was abnormal. Not to mention normal birds, even ordinary flying demonic beasts would be exhausted by the airflow and fall from the sky. More and more swirls of airflow appeared. In the end, there were even tornadoes, waterspouts and other natural phenomena. Many flying beasts that passed by fell into the river, and no one knew if they were still alive or not. Break! Boosted up his Jin Qi, Yi Chen punched out and shattered the waterspout that was coming towards him. The aftershock of the punch shook the surrounding space, and then everything went back to normal. I can't go on any longer. I've used up too much Jin Qi, and my Jin Qi is starting to get dirty. I have to go down. After throwing out this punch, the murky qi inside Yi Chen's body had increased dramatically, which was a sign that his Jin Qi was in chaos. If he stayed in the air any longer, his Jin Qi would flow in reverse, which would hurt his meridians. After all, he was not a late clasping Yuan realm martial artist yet, and could not stay in the air for a long time. During the flight, he had to use his Jin Qi to shatter the obstacles from time to time. His body floated down to the ground. Yi Chen touched his storage ring with his right hand and took out a waist-thick tree trunk. He then dropped it into the river. Splash! The tree trunk floated on the water, and Yi Chen stepped on it with his feet. He scanned the area with his soul power and found no danger. Yi Chen adjusted his breathing for a while, then activated his Jin Qi and formed a power source behind the tree trunk. A strong wind blew over, and the water on both sides of the river flowed backward quickly. When encountering a tornado or waterspout, Yi Chen only needed to punch out and solve the problem completely. When encountering a demonic beast under the water, he only needed to stomp on the ground, and his pure mysterious Jin Qi would spread out, covering an area with a radius of tens of meters. Occasionally, 1 or 2 rank 5 demonic beasts would be cut in half by his sword, and their blood dyed the surface of the river red. Fortunately, I have the pellets that can instantly replenish my Jin Qi. Otherwise, it would not be so easy to cross the Wild Goose Falling River. Clasping Yuan realm martial artists were extremely fast. If they used their flying art, they could cover 2,000 to 3,000 miles in 2 hours. However, no clasping Yuan realm martial artists used their Jin Qi every day, because the Jin Qi of a clasping Yuan realm martial artist could not last for more than a couple of hours. Once their Jin Qi ran out, it would not only hurt their bodies, but also put them in great danger. However, using the tree trunk to cross the Wild Goose Falling River would consume a lot more Jin Qi than using flying art. Because flying art was a skill, it could already save a lot of Jin Qi. However, forming the power source of Jin Qi behind the tree trunk did not require a lot of skill. Most of the Jin Qi used was brute force. Besides, the resistance in the water was greater than that in the air, which increased the consumption of Jin Qi. Fortunately, Yi Chen had obtained a calabash of medicinal pellets from the Heavenly Dream ancient region, which contained hundreds of them. Normally, he would not be willing to use them when he was traveling, but at this moment, it was understandable for him to use 1 or 2 of them. The Wild Goose Falling River was not an ocean, no matter how wide it was, it still had a bottom line. After traveling for about 700 to 800 miles, Yi Chen finally saw the other side of the river. Looking at the river bank and the towering mountains, which were also rarely seen by people, Yi Chen gave a bitter smile and said, "It seems that this part of the road I chose is a bit remote, and there are not many people around. That's good, I want to train myself anyway, so I can go anywhere. I don't need to worry too much." Bang! The tree trunk hit the river bank, and Yi Chen jumped up into the air. Opening the map, Yi Chen pointed out the location of the mountains and said to himself, "There are 3 mountains on the other side of the Wild Goose Falling River, 2 small ones, and 1 big one. If I am not mistaken, this mountain should be the biggest one, called the 5 Poison Mountain. It is about the same size as the Silent Hills, it is also thousands of miles wide. Most of the demonic beasts in this mountain are highly poisonous, and the 5 poison beasts are the most famous. The 5 poison beasts were snakes, scorpions, spiders, centipedes, and toads. These 5 poisons were the demonic beasts, and they were even more poisonous. Normal condensing reality realm warriors would definitely die if they touched them. Therefore, Yi Chen had to bring some high-level antidotes with him in case he was poisoned. Putting away the map, Yi Chen raised his head and looked at the sky. Thunder Freer should have left already. From now on, he would have to rely on himself. No matter how dangerous it would be, he would have to survive. Only by surviving could he become a powerful warrior. In the future, he would be surrounded by mountains of corpses and seas of blood. If he did not want to become one of them, then he would have to walk through it and reach the top step by step. His body flashed, Yi Chen headed towards the 5 Poison Mountain. Swoosh! The sword light flashed, and a flying vampire bat was cut in half by Yi Chen's sword. Its corpse was as big as a wild dog, with sharp fangs. The Five Poison Mountain is indeed the Five Poison Mountain. On the way here, more than 70% of the demonic beasts were poisonous. Putting the dragon spring sword back into its sheath, Yi Chen put a miasma-dispelling pellet in his mouth. There were many places in the Five Poison Mountain that were filled with miasma. It would be fine if the miasma was only for a short period of time, but after a long period of time, it would cause all kinds of symptoms, which would affect one's fighting power. Raising his feet, Yi Chen started walking towards the depths of the mountain. Inside a small valley. There was a muddy pond in the valley, and next to the pond was an empty, flat land. At this moment, a group of people had gathered on the flat land. In front of them was a house-sized, gigantic toad. The toad's body was colorful, and every single one of its tumors was as big as a washbasin. It was releasing a highly poisonous demonic chi, which was spreading everywhere. "Miss, you go, we'll stop it." The middle-aged man, who seemed to be the leader of the group, nervously looked at the toad and said to the girl behind him. The girl's face was pale, but she shook her head firmly. "How can I abandon you and leave? After all, I was the one who came to the Five Poison Mountain." Hearing this, the good-looking young man next to her said anxiously, "Miss, the five-colored toad is a level 5 demonic beast. Its poisonous chi will kill anyone who touches it. You won't be able to help even if you stay here. Plus, the leader is still waiting for the Zen fragrance grass to save him. Zhengxian, you don't stay either. Take the young lady and go back together." The middle-aged man's face flashed with determination, and he ordered the young man to take the young lady away. "Dad!" The young man's face was full of pain. One was his father, and the other was the young lady he loved. He did not want to give up on either one. Shoo! Right then, the five-colored toad attacked. Its 10-meter-long tongue curled up, and a guard was sucked into its mouth and swallowed. "Son of a bitch!" The middle-aged man held his blade with both of his hands and slashed. Chin! The blade chi barely broke through the five-colored toad's defense. Streams of blood fell onto the ground, making a sizzling sound. All of a sudden, an unpleasant smell spread out. Two guards who were standing close to the toad fell onto the ground with white foam coming out of their mouths, dead. The blood is poisonous as well. A human figure appeared above the entrance of the valley. He saw this scene and thought to himself. It was indeed Yi Chen. After a couple of hours of traveling, he had already passed through the edge of the Five Poison Mountain. Luckily, he did not run into any powerful demonic beasts. The real powerful demonic beasts should be deep in the center of the mountain, and were not likely to come out. Shoo! The five-colored toad's tongue was long and thin. It was so fast that it could not be seen by the naked eye. This time, it had already pierced through the chests of two guards, and was heading towards the girl in the middle of the crowd. Piss off! The young man barely managed to raise his long sword horizontally in front of the girl, trying to cut off the toad's tongue. Unfortunately, no matter how fast he was, he could not compete with the toad's tongue. The long and thin tongue curled up and wrapped around his arm, dragging him towards the girl. The middle-aged man was a clasping Yuan realm warrior after all. Seeing that his son was entangled, he wanted to help. But just as he raised his long blade, a cloud of poisonous chi suddenly sprayed onto his body. Boom! The protective Jin chi started to twist intensely, and the middle-aged man's body was blown away. Without the middle-aged man's help, the two guards who had been pierced through by the toad's tongue were dragged into the air along with the young man, falling towards the five-colored toad's huge mouth. Shoo! The sword chi flashed across, and the five-colored toad's tongue was cut off. Chapter 173. The young man hurriedly stepped back. As for the two guards who had their chests pierced through, they were already dead, connected by the toad's broken tongue. Zhengxian, are you all right? Not far away, the middle-aged man coughed out a mouthful of blood and rushed over. The young man shook his head, then looked up at the valley and said, "He saved me." The pretty girl's eyes shone brightly. The young man was only 16 or 17 years old, and he still looked a bit immature. However, the power of that sword move was indeed terrifying. He had easily cut off the toad's tongue, giving people a feeling that he had done it so easily. "Thank you, young hero, for saving my life." The middle-aged man was also shocked by Yi Chen's power, but he was still calm. He clearly knew that the outside world was a vast world, and that some of the most talented geniuses could be as powerful or even more powerful than the older generation. For example, Wei Dongxi, the head disciple of the Green Bamboo Martial School, a rank 7 institution in a thousand-thread nation, could be counted as a great genius. Yi Chen's robe fluttered in the air. Within a blink of an eye, he appeared in front of the crowd and said blandly, "It's nothing. Don't mention it." The pretty girl still said gratefully, "If it weren't for you, we would all have died here. Be careful." Before she finished her words, the pretty girl's expression changed. In her line of sight, the toad's eyes had turned blood red, and it spurted out a cloud of 5-colored beast chi towards Yi Chen. The beast chi swept across the entire area, withered all the plants in its path, and left a deep ditch on the ground. Yi Chen's senses were extremely sharp, and he was able to sense every single move of the toad. He tilted his body and swung the dragon spring sword, releasing a light blue stream of sword chi. Puff! The sword chi cut open the 5-colored beast chi, and fiercely hacked on the toad's head. Gugga-guggu, the toad let out muffled screeches, and its house-sized body was sent flying backwards, creating a few large cracks on the valley wall, causing rocks to tumble down. Mountain condensing sword chi. This toad was much weaker than the black-crowned serpent, but it had a great defensive power. A normal sword attack wouldn't be able to kill it. Yi Chen didn't want to waste any more time, so he launched a small attack. Puff, 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 the thick sword chi contained a great deal of power. It easily cut through the rainbow toad's ugly skin and pierced through, leaving a deep mark on the wall behind it. After suffering such a heavy blow, the 5-colored toad's body twitched violently. Then, its body went limp and it stopped breathing. Clang! Putting the sword back into its scabbard, Yi Chen reached out his hand and waved. The inner pellet of the 5-colored toad broke out of its chest and was sucked over. Amazing! The toad is dead. The 5-colored toad is equal to a mid-clasping Yuan realm martial artist. Martial artists at the same level as them would have to stay away from it. This person is even younger than my nephew. I didn't expect him to be able to kill the 5-colored toad with a single strike. The surviving guards were all mid or late condensing reality realm warriors. They had always heard about how powerful some of the geniuses were, but they had never seen them in person. Today, they were all shocked. Yi was, and said, "Zhen," and I, Yi Zhen Zhen Li, I Zhen. Yi Chen shook his head, "I'm leaving soon, no need to tell me my name." He had saved the toad without much effort, so he didn't need to waste too much of his time. Since he could easily save the toad, why not? Putting away the toad's core, Yi Chen turned around and said, "Everyone, be careful, I won't bother you anymore." Then, he was about to leave. Cough! Cough! All of a sudden, the middle-aged man spat out a mouthful of blood, which smelled horrible. His face turned colorful. Yi Chen frowned, "You've been poisoned." The middle-aged man activated his Zhen Qi and tried to suppress the poison. He forced a smile and said, "The toad's poisonous beast Qi is way too powerful. It poisoned me through my protective Zhen Qi. Don't move, let me try to detoxify you." Yi Chen flashed behind the middle-aged man, put his hands on the man's back, and poured his pure mysterious Zhen Qi into the man's body through the meridians in his arms. After a while, Yi Chen took back his hands, let out a breath of turbid air and said, "The toad's poison is way too powerful. Zhen Qi alone won't be able to detoxify it. We have to make some detoxifying pellets. Luckily, he is not poisoned too much, so he won't be in danger for now." The pretty woman thought of something. Normally, when someone is poisoned by a highly poisonous beast, the detoxifying pellet must be made from the beast. This toad, the pretty woman looked at Yi Chen. The toad was killed by him, so he had the right to deal with it. She couldn't make a decision on her own. "You guys do whatever you want." He didn't plan on taking the materials from the toad. After dissecting the materials from the toad, the group was ready to leave. Yi Chen saw that they were either injured or poisoned, and they didn't have much fighting power. They probably wouldn't be able to walk out of this dangerous five-poison mountain. He said helplessly, "Let me send you out." The pretty woman was grateful. She had a good impression of Yi Chen. On the way, Yi Chen learned about their names and situations. The pretty woman's name was Lin Qingmei. She was the daughter of the Lin family in Black Rock City, which was near the Five-Poison Mountain. The poisoned middle-aged man was called Lu Jingde. He was Lu Jingshuan's father and was also an elder of the Lin family. They entered the Five-Poison Mountain to collect a rare spiritual plant, Zen fragrance grass. However, the Zen fragrance grass was guarded by the toad, so they were almost wiped out. After leaving the Five-Poison Mountain, they walked for hundreds of miles towards the east. A city built with black rocks appeared in front of Yi Chen. It's about the same size as the Qingfeng city. It shouldn't be very powerful. Normally, the martial schools had their own mountains and were very powerful. The big families lived in bigger and more prosperous cities. For example, the Luo city where the Yi family lived was only second to the Forgotten City and the Gale city. The Black Rock city couldn't be compared to it. After entering the city, Yi Chen saw that the guards had strange expressions on their faces, but he didn't pay much attention to it. The Lin family was located in the southern area of the Black Rock city. Judging from the size and layout of the city, they could barely be counted as a medium-sized family. There was a huge gap between them and the big families. "Miss, you're back. The leader of the family asked us to go see him as soon as we saw you." Master Lu was poisoned. The housekeeper, who was standing in front of the gate, saw Lin Qingmei and the others. His eyes brightened and he hurried over to greet them. However, when he saw Lu Jingde's condition, he couldn't help but yell out. Lin Qingmei forced a smile and said, "All right, I'll be right there." Inside a room in the small courtyard, Yi Chen sat on the bed with his legs crossed, holding a low-rank soul stone in each of his hands. He had his eyes closed and was training. The mysterious great art had 11 levels in total, and each level was more difficult than the previous one. Before reaching the 11th level, he had to try his best to step into the higher levels as soon as possible and increase his fighting power. Otherwise, if he encountered a late-clasping Yuan realm warrior, he would not have enough power. After an unknown period of time. Crack! The low-rank soul stone in his hand shattered. Yi Chen opened his eyes. "I'm now at the peak of the 6th level. I guess I'll be able to reach the 7th level in a couple of days." Throwing away the broken low-rank soul stone, Yi Chen walked out of the bed. Boom! Right at this moment, the entire Lin family slightly shook, as if a small earthquake had happened. Someone is fighting. Without much hesitation, Yi Chen opened the door and rushed towards the source of the tremor. On the welcoming plaza of the Lin family, two groups of people were facing each other. The group of people in the welcoming hall were the powerful warriors of the Lin family, while on the other side were a group of people in yellow robes, led by a chubby middle-aged man and an elderly man in black robes. On the Lin family's side, a man was lying on the ground while puking blood. He had obviously been wounded by someone, and the wound was quite serious. "Hee, Lin Taimu, it seems like you haven't learned your lesson yet. If you don't hand over the forging method of our Huang family's cold iron sword, I'll injure one of your Lin family's powerful warriors every day. Let's see how long you can last. The chubby middle-aged man said in a creepy tone while caressing the emerald ring on his finger. The master of the Lin family's face was pale and bloodless, as if he had been seriously wounded. He ordered someone to help the injured Lin family's powerful warrior up, then said in a cold voice, the forging method of the cold iron sword was passed down by the Lin family's ancestors. It has nothing to do with your Huang family. How can you claim that it was lost by your Huang family? The chubby middle-aged man said, my Huang family established itself in the Black Rock City much earlier than your Lin family. You're just an outsider. How can you have the forging method of the cold iron sword? Elder Lu, please teach him a lesson, so that he won't forget the pain of the past. The old man in black robes smiled evilly, master of the Lin family, you were hit by my black killing palm half a month ago. How are you feeling now? Your meridians must be in great pain every day. Don't you dare. Lin Qingmei couldn't help but walk out from the crowd. Oh right, I forgot to tell you one thing. I'm interested in your daughter. Master of the Lin family, what do you think? A lustful look flashed across the old man's eyes. He reached out his hand, and a tremendous amount of Jin Qi emerged from his palm, preparing to suck Lin Qingmei over. Qi. A sword Qi shot out, cutting off the old man's Jin Qi. Who are you? The old man in black robes had a gloomy look on his face. Yi Chen walked to the plaza and said, you're disturbing me. The chubby middle-aged man thought that it was a powerful martial artist. But when he saw a teenager, who looked no older than 16 or 17, walk out, he laughed and said, Lin Taimu, don't tell me that this is a powerful martial artist invited by your Lin family. Do you really think that he can stop Elder Lu? The old man in black robes said coldly, little brat, if you dare to stop me, you will die today. When Lin Qingmei saw Yi Chen, a joyful look flashed across her face. But soon after, a worried look appeared on her face. She said in a low voice, why did you come out? Yi Chen asked, who are they? Lin Qingmei said, that hateful fatty is the master of the Huang family in the Black Rock City. He has been coveting the forging method of the cold iron sword of our Lin family. He didn't dare to touch our Lin family in the past. But recently, he invited this powerful martial artist called Elder Lu, who injured my father. I came to the Five Poisons mountain range to collect some Zen herbs to treat my father's injury. Oh. Yi Chen nodded and didn't say another word. Lin Taimu, the master of the Lin family, asked, Qingmei, is this little brother the one who brought you out of the Five Poisons mountain range? Yes, father. Since he saved our lives, why don't you take him to rest? Lin Taimu could tell that Yi Chen was an early clasping Yuan realm martial artist, so he didn't want to get him involved in this. Lin Qingmei had a complicated look on her face. Yi Chen's power was obvious, he was as powerful as a mid-clasping Yuan realm martial artist. However, that Elder Lu was even more powerful, he had already reached the peak of the mid-clasping Yuan realm. Even her father had been injured by him. Deep down in her heart, she really hoped that Yi Chen could help them. However, this hope was too slim. After all, she had experienced how powerful Elder Lu was. Yi Chen couldn't possibly be a match for him. You want to leave? Not so easy. Die. The old man in black robes had a hideous look on his face as he threw a palm attack towards Yi Chen. A huge black palm swooshed across the air, letting out a shrill, heart-wrenching sound. Clang! Yi Chen unsheathed the dragon spring sword and waved it casually. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.